Most people think that if you're a university student that you're strapped for time. And most people also think that if you're a business owner, you're even more strapped for time. Well, our guest today is actually doing both simultaneously and succeeding at both. So Mr. SooWei, welcome to Progress with us.
Yes,
It's a pleasure to have you on
Pleasure
today.
to have you on.
Thank you for having me on.
So thank you for coming on. You recently posted a video of you
Yeah.
talking about how you had your first $151,000 month.
Yes, sir.
And you were 19 at the time, and you posted a video of you calling your parents in Malaysia and
Yeah.
telling them about it. I noticed in that call, and I noticed that in a lot of your content, you talk about how your parents had massive expectations on you to be at uni. What was it like being able to give them that phone call and still being at uni and being able to tell them how successful the business has been as well?
It was amazing. It was honestly a very, very surreal feeling for me. You know, like, if not a lot of people know this, but I started when I was 16 because of my dad. You know, I seeked validation from my dad and everything. He runs a successful business, super, super huge, you know, real estate portfolio and everything. And for me, a lot of the times that was my idol. I was looking up to him. And so that was someone that I just wanted to seek validation from a lot of the time. And I started at 16, wanted to prove to him that I could actually make things work without needing his help, without needing, you know, a helping hand. And yeah, I mean, when I called him and everything, it was just a really, really surreal feeling. Because, yeah, obviously it's grown to the point where it is now. And I could have never fucking expected that it would have grown to the point where I'm making this type of money at 19. I mean, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's money that people in their 30s, 40s make, you know, after you develop skill sets and everything. But to do it at 19, to let my parents know and to make them proud, yeah, it's just a real feeling, honestly.
I think compared to the start then, you know, obviously you've had this experience and you're able to share your progress with them now. But
Yeah.
what was the initial reaction, you know, in terms of you wanting to go down this path? Were they kind of supportive? Or I know you've spoken
Yeah.
a little bit about it here and then.
Oh, they hated it. They absolutely hated it. It was one of those ones where they just said, stay in school, you know,
Yeah.
do your work. I mean, I'm Chinese, man. So, you know, the typical route is just go to college, get a degree, get a job, play it safe. And, you know, I opted for a different route. At the time, I actually didn't tell them for the first year. I didn't make money my first year, man. When I was 16 to 17, I didn't make any money. And so I didn't make any money. And then I only told them when I was making 5K a month, 5 to 10K a month. And even then, they didn't support it because it just wasn't a lot of money. So they didn't really get it in the beginning, but after I kept on going and they see that I was actually happy doing it, of course, they started being supportive and everything. But in the beginning, they didn't really understand. They thought it was like, you know, what is this stuff? Is it even long term? But I think now they're starting to slowly kind of understand that, you know, he is building a real business. He is actually making a name for himself and everything. So, yeah, it's a bit different now.
I thought it was curious in the video when you called your mum,
Yeah.
how one of the first things that she said to you was that you need to set a new goal 3 months from now. And I thought, wow, that is
Yeah.
really setting the tone. You know what I mean? Like, you calling her up with good news and said that you need to set a new goal. And I also noticed that your dad said that you needed to give to those in need. And I
Yeah.
know that you do that. Is that, you know, when I hear that from your dad and I hear you say that you were looking up to him,
Yeah.
you know, when you were growing up, how aware were you that your dad was a successful entrepreneur? Was it like something that you were consciously aware of? Or because like most people when they're young, they just think like, you know, my parents go into work.
Yeah.
But had you kind of always, even with school, knew that you were going to be an entrepreneur?
Not at all. I'm so glad you brought that up. I was the most straightforward kid growing up. I was a very stubborn kid. I was, you know, not the best in school. And honestly, like, my dad, like, told me that I wasn't cut out to be an entrepreneur, to be a kind of business owner. And he said that because that's just how my personality was. I was very straightforward. I wasn't flexible. I didn't have emotional intelligence. I was very just, like, emotional. And, you know, like, if you're emotional as a business owner, you make rash decisions and it'll hurt your business in the long term. You know, you can't think logically and everything. And so he told me that I just wasn't cut out for it. But I knew my dad was successful from a young age because just the way he carried himself, I think. He would always, like, even on holidays and everything, I think the reason why he's so big on giving back to people in need is whenever he sees someone on the street, just, you know, give him money and everything. And it was just a small little instances like that that kind of showed me the character that he has, and that's who I've looked up to, and so that's who I aspire to be and everything. And yeah.
Do you have any siblings?
I do. I'm the middle child, actually. So I have 2 siblings. I have an older brother who's 25 and a younger brother who's 1 year younger.
What is it that they do?
My older brother's in real estate with my dad, and
Nice.
then my younger brother's just in university.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Do you think that they're still going to have your younger brother have that one kid who ends up going down the traditional route, or do you think your younger brother will follow in your footsteps?
I've tried to get him to follow my footsteps. I've told him, like, dude, you can make a lot of money, and he's smarter than me. He's always gotten better grades than me. I'm always encouraging him to try different things out, but I feel like with especially siblings, you just kind of have to let them find their own thing. You don't want to force it. If they're ready for it, he'll reach out to me. But regardless of whether or not he does, decide to go the traditional route, go the online, he'll make it work. He's smarter, so.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you become pretty successful at a young age.
Yeah.
Do you feel like along the way there's been any doubts, or have you just kind of went with that, undying self-belief that you're going to make it? Or how's the process been from, maybe starting out, having this idea of, okay, the pressure's on now, I really have to do this to prove to my parents.
Yeah.
And was there any doubts on the way, or how's that process really been?
Yeah, first year, so many doubts. I mean, I made zero. Like the whole first year of just trying to make money online, I literally made zero. And I thought to myself, like, is it even worth it? Should I just, because my grades took a hit as well. And so my doubts seeped in like crazy. But the thing is, I love the process so much. And I say this all the time. The man that loves walking is always going to get to the destination faster than the man that loves the destination. And so I fell in love with the process from the beginning. And even if I wasn't making money, I felt that I was doing something. I felt like I was, achieving something, even though, like financially and, money-wise, I wasn't. And so the doubt was obviously huge in the second year when nothing came in. But as soon as that first sale hit, it was $50. Yeah. $50 on my first sale, and everything just changed. Like, all my limiting beliefs just went out the window like that. And because I loved the process, because I just didn't really care about the end result, I think I just really made it work. And it wasn't really like, oh, did I believe in myself? It was like, do I enjoy doing this? And of course I did. And so that's what made it work.
Bro, I always love asking people what their in was. Like, I remember for me, it was Joe HS Tiki Toki.
Yeah.
So, do you know his fucking trading stuff?
Yeah.
I remember I was sat on my lunch break at this warehouse job that I was working. And I remember, do you know when the Jerome Powell, the dude comes out and the markets go nuts on the first or the last Friday of every month.
Yeah.
And I remember I made 600 quid. Trade like mad leverage. I had like 300 quid in the account and like one leverage. I remember I made 600 quid and I remember being like depositing it into my Halifax and being like, oh my God, it actually works. Like something works. And then from there, like I feel like for so many people, it's like trading, or maybe they signed one client, but as soon as you get that, as soon as you get that payment, for you, it was $50, right? But as soon as you get it, you're like, okay, here we go. It's actually working. So, to go back a little bit, you now run Goh Consulting. I hope I've not butchered your last name.
Yeah.
I know that you were doing a bit of done for you stuff, but talk a little bit about how you've transitioned from obviously IG theme pages, $50 first sale, to the done for you, to what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I ran a done for you in the past, and I think done for you gets the best client results, if I'm being completely honest. But I realized that not everyone could afford a done for you, or not everyone was worth taking rev share in. So okay, I needed a scalable model, something that I could sell over and over again that didn't have a lot of operational drag in the fulfillment process. Because for me, it's like, if I signed 20 done-for-you clients, I could probably only fulfill for 5 confidently. That's me being realistic. And so I was like, okay, what is a model that I can sustainably and, actually consistently sell over and over again? And that was the done with you. And so I had a scalable model, which is done with you, that's Consulting Mastery. And then I have the done for you, which is Consulting Mastermind. And based on what people want, they'll join the done with you or they join the done for you. And so just having a scalable model there to be able to capitalize on the attention that I'm generating with the personal brand, it's been helping a lot. So yeah.
So what did it look like when you were actually doing the done for you? Because I know that for you, it was like, I know that you were doing a bit of stuff with Surge.
Yeah.
How much of it was like, do the done for you, package it up and then turn it into a scalable model? Or were you doing the done for you and then realized you needed a scalable model? Or it was always to make it a productized service?
It was kind of both, to be fair. I mean, I started off in the growth ops scene. I did that for 2 to 3 months, and I realized, okay, the moment you take rev share on a client, that's when their expectation of what you do in their business skyrockets because you're eating into their margins. And so naturally, if you're giving someone 20% of your business, you're always going to think, okay, is it worth it? You're always going to ask that in your head, no matter how much value that person provides. And I understand that. And so the problem with done for you is that when you take a rev share, the expectation is just so much higher, and your a lot of variables come into play. You know, like, is the client posting the right amount of content? Is the client fulfilling on the actual product? Do your visions even align? And a lot of the times it's hard to actually get a business partner that aligns on all three things, right? And so I realized, okay, like, if I just charge an upfront fee and I actually systemize an SOP the done-for-you services that didn't require that much operational drag, I could actually sell it for 12, 18K. Just rip that and then see how it goes. And then the guys that are worth taking rev share in, I'll know because I filtered them out through the done with you in the first place. So now the done with you acts as like kind of like a testing field of, okay, is this business owner someone I actually want to partner up with? Because when you partner up with them, you guys are business partners, you know? And so I've been blessed enough to have an opportunity where I can pick and choose the clients I want to take rev share in. And currently we have 2. And I'm very, very picky with who I am because with who I choose because, you know, their expectations are going to be high. And so I understand that. And if I'm going into a partnership, I'm going to give it my all.
What does your done for you look like?
In terms of the deliverables?
Yeah, in terms of the deliverables.
We build out everything. So A to Z. Scaling business comes down to 3 things: content, sales, and marketing, right? Well, sales, marketing, fulfillment. These 3 things. And so basically we build out the fulfillment system so that you are scalable. And then we build out the marketing SOPs and the sales assets like the VSL. And then we actually place the sales reps, we place the appointment setters, closers, and everything. And so we handle the A to Z operations and everything. And we just charge you a one-time setup fee. You take it, run it, have high margins, and everyone's happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
One thing I'm super curious about then is obviously, you know, you're at university at the same time.
Yeah.
And how would you say your kind of circles and your friends, and, you know, has there been a little bit of a disconnect in terms of, I'm sure a lot of people in the kind of university space are in a completely different position to you.
Yeah.
So how have you kind of found that, just working your way through, you know, over the past couple of years through university?
Of course. It's completely different, you know, and I think I specifically chose London because I knew that, okay, I could be in university, but I could also meet guys like you know, people that are in the entrepreneurship space. And I have different circles in London. I probably have like 5 different friend groups that I kind of alternate between. And I just think that doing that allows me to kind of broaden my perspective and broaden my scope on what I want to do and, you know, who I like to really hang out with. And for the university guys, I love it with them. You know, I love it with them. But sometimes we just don't see things on the right path. You know, we don't have the same hobbies. We don't have the same goals. We don't have the same ambitions. But then I hang out with guys like you that do have the same ambitions, that do want to make a ton of money, that do want to help your families and everything. And so it's the perfect balance, you know, it's a perfect balance. And I think being in university is like, it's cool to kind of like not be so out of it, you know, but kind of have that balance where you do have regular people that are, you know, doing what regular 20-year-olds do. And then also the flip side of the coin is 20-year-olds that are making money and that are successful and everything. So it's good to have both.
Do you see anyone in your university circle who you think, fuck, they would kill it if they were just in
all
like
the
a
time?
different
All the
vehicle?
time. I've tried to put so many of my guys on. I try to put like 4 or 5 of my guys on, but at the same time, it's like you can only do so much. So I can give them all the resources, everything in the world, but it's up to them if they want to make it work.
Are you staying in a uni dorm,
Yeah,
like in a
uni
uni
as well.
I used to in
Right.
my first year. Oh my goodness, I can send you guys some videos. It was terrible. I shared a flat with 3 guys. 3 of them were European, and I think it's just a different culture. Like in Asia, I'm just so clean. I'm like, as soon as I cook something, I'm cleaning it straight away.
Yeah.
We live together.
I think our housemate's the worst for it.
Yeah, there's like 2 of us who are
Yeah.
super tidy. I'd say
Yeah.
you're in the middle, and then we have a housemate, bro. His work trousers are everywhere, and it's just a faff. But yeah, go on. Sorry, you were living with them.
Yeah, I was living them, and then it was an experience for sure. Like, kitchen was so fucking dirty, and I remember, to be fair, we were only paying $150 a week, so that's $600 a month.
That's super
Bro,
cheap.
that's insane in London.
for a uni econ. But dude, I had like a cubicle. Like, it was I just went in, my bed is right there, desk is right there, nothing else, and then I had a kitchen I shared with 4 other guys. So I lived in a uni dorm, and then I moved out. Second year, I had to move out, and then I'm staying in my current flat, and then next year I'm staying at a high-rise in Canary. So it's gonna be fun.
nice, man.
It's
Nice.
like the slowly
We've
upgrading
heard about
everything.
WeWork Canary Wharf, and
Yeah,
apparently
yeah,
I was
yeah.
just popping. What was that like? Like, I can imagine. Okay, so I can imagine you in a uni dorm.
Yeah.
I can imagine, you know, I'm not sure what they're like, whether they're going out or
Yeah.
whatever. And I can imagine you being in your room, monitor,
Yeah.
laptop, just working.
Yeah.
Did they ever like? obviously you don't have to dox them on the pod, but did they ever like question, or they were like, you know, why it was working or anything like that? Or were they kind of like relatively understanding of what you were doing?
They'd always question it because, I mean, when I came to London, when I came to university, I was already doing 10K a month. And so they were like, is this guy scamming? Like, generally, anyone that doesn't understand the online space thinks that I'm doing something illegal because of how much money I'm making. And I understand it, you know, it's just not conventional to make this type of money at a young age. But the moment that they do try to understand it, they start to see it and they start to understand it and everything, which is cool. But in the beginning, usually people are just like, okay, I don't even know what he does, but he makes money, you know, good for him.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is.
Would you say that there has been anybody then? I know obviously you spoke about you've tried to put a few of your boys on, tried to get them into the space, whatnot. Has there been anyone that's actually followed through with it and, you know, kind of made something in that sense?
There has. I brought in one of my best friends, actually, his name is Matthew. I put him on 5 months ago, and I told, like, he wanted to get in the online space, and he was like, okay, where should I start? I told him sales. You can't go wrong with sales, you know?
Yeah.
And so I told him, get an appointment setting. I'll place you with one of my clients. And he did. And it was so spontaneous. We went to Dubai. We were planning a trip to Dubai end of February. He got in early February, and I was like, it was a client mastermind, actually. I was just going out with my clients and everything. I was like, dude, super random. You want to go? And at first he was hesitant and everything, but he said, fuck it, let's go. And he met the guys, and I think him meeting guys that are doing 50, 60K a month, him meeting all those guys that are doing extremely well, opened up his eyes to make him realize that, hey, like, this is actually real, you know? This is not some bullshit that you see online. Like, this is actually real. Everyone in Dubai was just crushing it. One of my clients actually bought a Rolex. He bought a Yachtmaster and everything. So it was cool. And so him seeing that, he was like, yo, that's actually crazy. And so, yeah, now he's doing pretty well. I think he's going to hit his 10K month this month. So
nice.
He's only 6 months in.
Yeah, what a beast.
So he's killing it.
So on that topic, right, because I always think about this. So people see the online space and they immediately default for one reason or another to either think that it's unattainable because it doesn't relate to them, or it's a scam, right? You said that everyone thought it was a scam. But you are very transparent, and you seem to have very clear kind of ethics in the business. Like when I watch your sales calls, when I hear the things that you say in your content, when you break down how much profit you're actually taking home. Was that something that you had always planned on doing, like always being transparent? Or was it something that you kind of learned along the way?
Like when I was scaling up, I hated the fact that people just only showed numbers, because I knew there was something behind it. Like, there's no way that this guy, this 18, 17-year-old kid is doing 200K a month. Like, how? I've always wondered, like, how much of that was actually profit? What is going on the back end? You know, is he actually fulfilling for his clients and everything? And realistically speaking, a lot of the numbers that are set in the info game are just not accurate. You know, someone can say they do 200K rev, but they keep like 40% margins, and that's like, what, 80K? It's not as impressive. And I think the way that I want to build my brand is just to show you the reality. You know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I've built my business the way I want to build it, to have high margins and everything. But what comes with that is a lot of stress on the fulfillment end, you know, and all this type of stuff. And so I just grew up knowing that there was some bullshit that these guys were saying, obviously to sell their course. I don't sell a B2C course. I don't sell a course mass market, which is why I'm so open about just sharing numbers. And I think even if I was selling something to mass market, I would share the numbers, because you know, people don't care about how much money you make. People care about how real you are as a person. And even in the B2B space, I've had so many people let me know, like, hey, you're like the only guy I trust in this space, you know, because of how genuine I am with my content and how open I am, even about the bad months. You know, I'm very, very open about it. In March, we did 150. April, we did 60. My fulfillment broke, and I was just not confident selling it. We had guys wanting to join, but I was like, I don't know if I can handle it. And so we did 60. Any other person would try to scale to 200, 300, you know, because 150, you have the momentum, let's scale up. But fulfillment broke, if I'm being completely honest. We weren't ready to handle that amount of clients, and I had to take a step back and fix everything, refilm some modules, hire new coaches, hire new people, implement new systems. And once I did that, then I was confident, you know, and I had to do it for 2 months. In May, we also did 60K because I had to bounce exams and everything. But here in June, I was so open up. I said in June 1st, this month is going to be of acquisition. The last 2 months, I dialed in the fulfillment. I'm ready to take on new clients. And just like that, I think after today, we're going to be at 49.5K cash collected in 7 days of June.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the
So-
7th.
just like that. You know, we have like, you can ask George, we have like 10K.
Look at George.
we have like 10K in remaining invoices. He's cooking it up. You know, the team is together. We have momentum building up. And so, yeah, I mean, we're doing something special this month. And I generally think we could do 200, 300K easily.
Bro, it's so true what you say about people. Like,
Yeah.
the numbers don't always add up. So when we first got in, we were at uni, right? We were
Mm-hmm.
both in our first year, and we bought a course off someone, YouTube automation. The guy who sold us that course no longer exists anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Completely gone. Every platform.
Really?
Not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of, people think that with info, it's like you can, let's say you have a course, no done with you, no done for you elements. It's literally just like pure info.
Yeah.
People think that you can just get in, bang, 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 bang,
Yeah.
hit a big month and then just like leave the space.
Yeah.
But that reputation thing goes so far. Like, think about it. We're both 21. You're 19, right? We want to be doing this for bro. Wait, 20. Sorry, bro. 19. But we want to be doing this until we're like, you know, you look at people like Tony Robbins. Tony
Yeah.
Robbins is like 65.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he has been doing it since he was 20, posting content, doing seminars, and he has kept that goodwill and that transparency throughout all that time. And I think like when people just go for that quick cash grab now, at the age that we're at now, it's just a bad move.
Yeah.
It's just a really bad move.
Yeah.
Saying no to clients, right? That's an interesting one because I've seen you talk about this a lot as well.
Yeah.
Why? I guess on a level of like, when someone comes to you and you think you can't help them,
Yeah.
what is it about their situation? Is it a mindset thing on their behalf? Is it that they need to do something first in order to be ready to work with you?
Yeah. I'm very, very picky with who I work with because I know that the initial 0 to 3K is the hardest part. You know, in scaling clients, your first client is going to be the hardest part. And I think the main thing is just mental beliefs and everything, and limiting beliefs, honestly, for that first 3K a month. But once you get a 3K a month, you know that people want your service. Like you have a proven offer, your limiting beliefs are out the window, and you can actually scale. You just probably don't know how to. And so that's who I want to work with. I don't want to dial in your mindset and then scale up. No. Take my free content. I have a 7-hour course for free. I post so much free value and free stuff that you can just take, implement that stuff, get rid of your limiting beliefs, come to me ready, and as soon as you work with me, I want you to listen to everything I say. I'm going to scale you to 50 to 100K a month. That's how I look at it. And so a lot of the times it's like, people ask me like, okay, why don't you take beginners? I think my free content helps beginners, and that's how I want to position my personal brand. You look at the biggest brands like Hormozy, right? The reason why Hormozy has the most respect in the space, like he's technically an info if you think about it. You know, like on the surface level, he is an info. He sells workshops and everything, and so that's a different form of service. Hormozy is the most respected guy in the space, but he does not have a bad reputation. Everybody talks highly of him because what he does is he sells implementation, and he gives all the information away for free. Every single strategy and every single piece of information and every single thing that he's done to scale businesses in the past is out on his YouTube. He gives all the information for free. Now, if you want help implementing, that's when you pay him for the consultation, for the personalization and everything. That's when you pay his team. And that's how I want to build my brand. That's how you get respect in the space. And I think that Hormozy's done such a perfect job, and he's already created the blueprint. You know, don't sell to the beginners and everything. I mean, get them the result first, and so when they do buy from you, they're piffing. Like they're gonna piff. And so when I sign clients, if you're unsure, I tell my closer all the time, don't close that. You know, like send him the free course, send him some free resources and everything. He'll come back in 3 months, because if anything, the prospect will actually gain more respect for us because we don't take his money on the spot. And so when the client is ready and he watches our content, he knows that we're really good at what we do. He joins and he has no doubts, he's not skeptical, and he just implements everything, and those are the best clients to work with. So what we've done is we've just pinpointed, okay, what are the common traits that every single one of our best clients has, right? They all have full conviction in my offer. They listen to everything I say, they've consumed a ton of content. Why don't I get every single prospect that works with me to have these 3 traits? And that's how I look at it. And so instead of selling to beginners, let me solve your first initial problems. Let me help you make money first, so you know that I'm good at what I do. And then if you want to scale to 50 to 100K a month, that's when you come to me.
Would you say that, you know, this whole, you know, I want to be super authentic and
Yeah.
true to yourself, which is amazing. Do you think that puts a little bit more pressure on you now in terms of creating new content, or how does that look? I know obviously you spoke about you guys recently changed over the content strat. The format looks super nice, by the way, bro. I like
appreciate
it. But how does that kind of work for you? You know, consistently coming up with content that is truly authentic and still being able to provide value to, say, you know, beginners and people who are potentially coming into the space. What does that look like for you, and how are you able to do so?
So like we found the format that works best for us is just documentation, vlogs, you know, because people don't want to see the end result. They want to see what leads to the end result. You know, like everybody can say they made 50, 100, 150, 200K a month. Like that's not impressive, you know, but if you actually show the process of you getting there, that's what gets people to resonate with you and you as a person. If you show the highs and then you also show the lows and the bad months when shit is just not going well, like we did in April and May, then guess what? When you are doing well, like we are in June, people are going to root for you. And so I see it all the time. My competitors and the people in our space, I'm sure you know, nobody talks about the bad months. Nobody talks about the bad months when shit isn't going well. And this business, like bad months are bound to happen. You know, fulfillment is bound to break. Sales may not be going well. You know, maybe clients are not getting results. And if you're not showing that, then you're just selling a dream. You know, and I think that the cool thing is about my content is that when my clients join, they don't have an expectation to scale in 30, 60 days. They know it's a long run because I show in my content that, hey, this is not fucking easy. I've been doing this for like 2-3 years now, since I was 16, you know, and I've been running my business for basically a year, you know, 11 months basically. And so if you're expecting to get the same result as me, just be willing to go through what I did as well, you know.
I think growing a business, you know, in your home country as well is one thing. But one thing I'm curious is, how has kind of building a business away from home actually been for your own personal growth, and how's that kind of affected you as well? You know, because it's, I guess to a degree, quite an entirely new place, you know, new people and such. Has that been kind of a positive impact for you, or how's that been for you?
It's been huge. It's been huge. It's like living in London, honestly. I generally think this was like the best decision of my life. I was actually debating between Manchester and London.
Wow, that's cool.
University of Manchester was my first choice. They accepted me and everything. And then Bayes Business School was my second choice. But I got accepted to both. But I was like, okay, Manchester is great. It's a big city, but London is just, it's London. You know
Bro,
what I mean?
you made the right decision. Manchester's great, but we were like, yeah, this place is insane.
Yeah,
like, London's popping.
Everyone's here. You know, there's always an event. There's people coming down here. People want to visit and stuff. And so I've met so many cool guys in London and everything. And literally, I came to London, I think within the first 2 months, I tripled the business. Tripled the business within the first 2 months. And I think because I was exposed to people doing so much better than me and people doing bigger numbers, I was like, okay, that's actually possible. In Malaysia, I went from 16, like I was basically building my business from 16 to 17 and 18 years old, just by myself. I didn't meet anyone in person. Everyone I knew that was making money online was actually like online, all across Europe, all across America. I was the only guy in Southeast Asia that was actually making money that I knew of, you know? And I felt lonely. I felt so lonely. And coming to London, just having that network of group of people that were actually also making money, that was huge. And so I realized, like, your network is literally everything. You know, if you know guys that are bigger than you and everything, it just pushes you to strive more because we're all competitive at the end of the day. You know.
Where were you actually living in Malaysia?
I was living in a small island called Penang.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't even the capital city.
Yeah.
It was like I wouldn't say it's like a full-on like island. It was still very industrial and, you know, buildings and everything, but there wasn't a lot of entrepreneurial people and everyone's just kind of relaxing, going to the beach, chilling.
Yeah.
But I love it. I literally love it. I'm super excited. I'm going back in like 5 days, so I'm really excited. I
know that you mentioned network, but I noticed you don't have a business partner. You know, a lot of the time, do you know, if you look at like people who have like big offers, they usually have, so take Charlie Morgan, right?
Yeah.
90% of people don't know who Bo is. Right, do you know his business partner? Like most people don't know that he has a Bo.
Yeah.
How have you kind of navigated leveraging network and also being able to hire as the solo founder of your business?
Yeah, so I've intentionally built it up this way, and I think that I'm doing, like, what I do now is all set up for my 10-year vision. And so if I can build a business and learn all aspects of the business myself, I'm going to be more competent as a business owner. I think the hard part and the hard truth that people have to realize is that if you have a business partner and you guys are handling different parts of the business, which is always going to be the case, you're neglecting a huge part of the business that could potentially bite you in 3-4 years. And that's just how it is. You know, like let's say, you know, there's two business partners. One's focusing on sales, one's focusing on fulfillment. If you only focus on sales, you don't know anything about fulfillment. And I just know that, you know, especially with the route I want to go down in private equity and SaaS, I want to be able to be a capable founder where I am capable of running the entire show if needs be. I don't need a business partner to rely on because, first of all, it's 50% margins gone just like that. And I'm just not as competent as I want to be. I know I can get shit done, and maybe it'll take a bit longer, and maybe I'll make a bit less money, but I'm fine with that because I developed a skill set that makes me more competent for what I want to do in 3-4 years from now, which is SaaS, private equity, and the bigger industries and everything. So I purposely chosen that route, and I think that the way that I've done that allows me to be more capable as a business owner, and it allows me to just look at things differently because I know all parts of the business and everything. And in regards to the network, all I'd really do is just put people on small rev share deals or small retainers, pay them out, you know, retainers, whatever they're worth, and just get them to be bought in the vision. And I think that's worked so far, honestly. I mean, the team is super, super dialed in. We're in person and everything, and yeah, it's super cool.
I was going to say you have a lean team. It's 6, am I correct? Or it might have changed since the video that I watched on your Insta because I was just fucking researching it. It could have been anywhere, but it was the video that you broke down the profit.
Yeah.
So is it still 6?
I can list it out. I have an appointment setter. I have a closer who's also my CSM and also my sales manager.
Nice.
So, you know, 3 birds in one
A
stone.
player.
Yeah,
Sure.
like straight up A player. This guy, sales manager for Imangadzi. Yeah, just literally just a gem. So that's that. And then I have a creative director. His name is Josh. I have a VA, and I have a setter manager. So 5 actually.
What does the creative director role look like?
He basically just finds editors, manages them, and he's in charge of basically coming up with new ideas that I can film and everything. And yeah, he's in charge of just getting views, and he's been killing it so far.
So what does your day-to-day look like? So at what point did you make that first hire? Was it a setter? Was it...
It was a setter. It was a setter, yeah. I made my first hire when I was doing $20K a month. I was like, okay, let me get out the DMs. And yeah, in terms of my day-to-day, I actually don't do a lot, you know. I say this all the time. From 0 to 30K a month, that's the trenches. Like, that's the most amount of work that you'll ever do in business. From 30 to 100K, that's just knowing how to manage a team. And so it's actually a completely different skill set because now your input doesn't necessarily lead to the output. It's your team's input. So knowing how to hire and put the right people in the right places is what's going to lead you to the 100, 200K months. The goal for this year is 500K a month by the end of the year. We're going to hit it. There's no doubt because the team that we have set up, all A players. You know, I think George booked 3, 4, like he's booking calls right now. You booked how many calls yesterday? 3?
3 yesterday.
Yeah, 3 qualified calls, 5 to 10K
Smashing
budget. Everyone's just on it, you know.
I feel like you need a cameo appearance at some point. Just have me sat behind the camera. No, it's interesting, dude. I feel like so what was it like going from, because it's something that I think about, right, is I almost feel like I'm a little bit addicted to that 0 to 30K grind. How did you kind of let go and decide like, right, because you were just saying, you know everything, right? You've learned all the skills. You want to be that capable founder.
Yeah.
What was the thought process behind like actually relinquishing some of that responsibility? And in the first few weeks, were you like, God, I hope they're doing it right. I hope they're doing it right. Or were you very like laid back, just see what they can do?
Yeah. Well, you have to understand that the same thing that will get you to 30K a month is not the same thing that will get you 100K a month, right? So if you're not willing to let go of it, then you'll just be stuck making 30K a month for the rest of your life. And I'm sure that's not where we want to be. We want to be making multiple 6 figures a month, if not 7 figures a month. And so for the first step is understanding that. The second step is realizing that you are responsible for everything that happens within your business. If your appointment setter fucks up, that's on you. Like realistically speaking, you're in full control of the output that your business generates because you are the person that puts people in the right places.
Yeah.
And if you put a setter there that's not performing, you're probably not leading him the right way. You probably don't even know his goals. You're not keeping track of his KPIs. You're not keeping him accountable. You're not giving him a reason to actually work hard for you. And all of these things are your fault. And so, okay, if a setter doesn't perform, he doesn't book any calls or he doesn't hit his KPIs, the first thing I think about is like, okay, what did I not do? You know, did I not give him enough training? Did I not hold him accountable? Did I not understand what he wants from the business? Does he feel like he has a need to actually work for me? You know? And usually it's just a management issue, honestly. And so if you flip the script and you're like, okay, instead of him like worrying about him doing well, am I managing him well enough? You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. And I think the right person, like you'll know with your gut, okay, this person's just not capable. Fire. Slow to hire, quick to fire. That's just the rule of the game. And the fact that we're all building our personal brands up, there's tons of people that want to work with us, which is a huge blessing. You know, I can put out a story and I can get hundreds of job applicants for positions in the business right now. Yeah, I'm super picky with who I choose, and so guys know that as well, and that plays a role into the managing and the performance and the standard that we set for the team. So,
I saw a reel that you posted recently, and I'll have to quote this because I wrote it down. You know, you said, life is a way of giving you what you want when you work hard and believe in yourself. And I think that's super true. But I was curious to, you know, when there's been like a pivotal moment where that's kind of actually truly hit for yourself.
Yeah. I think it was honestly like the breakthrough. I was stuck at 30K a month for 6 months, actually. I was struggling with that. I was struggling with letting go and everything. But I realized, okay, my thought process behind scaling is like, if I do more volume, if I book more calls and I close more sales and I put more content out, I'm surely going to scale up. It's just purely a volume game. Everyone talks about it. But I realized that I was just so stuck in the day-to-day that I just needed to get out. And so back to the quote that you were saying, it's just about, you know, working hard and everything. Working hard on the right inputs is what leads to the right results. I was working hard on the wrong inputs. And so the moment I realized, okay, instead of just doing all this myself, let me just hire out. Sure, my margins will be a bit less, but I'm going to make more in the long run. And so hiring out, working harder on actually learning the skill of management and putting people in the right places is what led to that. And so we went from being stuck at 30K for 6 months to scaling to 150K in 2 months. So right after that, we went from 30 to 70, and then 70 to 150. Just
and I
like
guess
that.
kind of what was it that initiated, you know, that ignited the switch for you to be like, okay, wow, this is what I need to do in terms of those, or was it a gradual thing throughout that 6 month period?
Well, I realized 6 months of me just doing the same work and over again led to me the same revenue. It's a problem with what I'm doing, you know, like what am I doing wrong as a business owner, and how do I change that? And so a huge thing that has helped me throughout the entire process, meditation. Just being hyper self-aware and hyper self-critical. Being aware of what you do on a day-to-day basis and being able to pull yourself out of your own head to realize, okay, am I working on the right operations? Am I working on the right inputs? Is so important as a founder, because you're your most important employee. If you're working on the wrong things, then you're just not making the right money, you know? So, yeah.
I want to look into kind of what makes you happy to a degree.
Oh.
Little smile.
We'll start off kind of happiness now compared to at the beginning, because you know, you spoke a lot about actually kind of falling in love with the journey rather than just looking at the end result, which a lot of people obviously do. I guess kind of talk me through that. Firstly, maybe where you are now in terms of how you're feeling personally. You know, you've hit a lot of these cool goals. I know you're still looking to scale further and further, like we've just spoken about. But how would you say your kind of happiness inside is now compared to when you started, when you first had this kind of fire to be like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm actually going to do this. You've had a little bit of a taste for it. And, you know, you put your foot in the gas. But what's the kind of difference there in terms of what you were thinking and how you're feeling?
My happiness back then came from sales. Straight up, you know, big numbers. I wanted 10K, 20K, 30K a month. I thought 100K a month would make me happy. 100K a month did make me happy, if I'm being honest. But I think the thing that makes me happier is being able to choose what I do with the money. And I talk about that a lot. I'm not a super lavish guy. I don't really wear designer. This is probably the most expensive thing I have. But apart from this, everything else is cheap. Like this is.
Do you ever get wary wearing that in London?
Yeah, I do actually.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, if I go to Chinatown, I have to put the sleeve down and everything. So I have to be careful. But apart from the watches and like the nice stuff, I don't have a lot of designer stuff. I don't have a crazy car, and I just have a lot of cash liquid, and I'm wanting to invest and help the right people and everything. So going back to Malaysia, I'm actually planning on setting up this charity or this foundation back home to help people in need. And I just think that doing that gives me more joy than anything. You know, I went to Selfridges the other day, and I bought gifts for my family, and I spent around 5-6K pounds. Spending that 5-6K pounds made me feel so good about myself, and it was better than any other sale that I ever could have got. You know, the 15K sales, the 20K sales, the big months, that's all cool. But when you get a gift and you can give back to your loved ones and get their genuine reaction and everything, it's priceless. I got my dad a Rimowa luggage. I got my brother an iPhone 16 Pro, and like the reactions like was just ridiculous. My dad was actually, it was so funny. I'm not sure if I should mention this, but fuck it. He was kissing the luggage. I'm like, you know, like he loved it so much because that's like the first gift that he really got, because he's always used to giving, and it's the first time someone gave back to him, and like, you know, being that source of happiness is just so it's so satisfying. It's so nice to feel, you know, and it's just spending the money the right way. Honestly, spending the money the right way.
It must have been a nice moment for him. Like, you always forget, like, he's seen you since you were just a kid, you know what I mean? And now you've grown up to be able to give back to him like that. What is it that you're studying at uni out of interest? I don't suppose you're studying business, are you?
I'm studying business.
No way. Is it like business and finance, or is it literally just business?
It's business management. I didn't opt for a route. I could have opted for the finance route, but I took a few finance courses. I took a few marketing courses. And yeah, I don't have a route. But I do, like, contrary to popular belief, I actually do think that university is really, really interesting. Because I said this on my story the other day, or I posted this on a reel somewhere, you know. I'm not in university to get the degree and get a job.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know, I know some people are in university for that reason. I'm in university to have a broader perspective on the world as a whole. Because my goal is not to make 100, 200K a month in info and stay in this industry. My goal is to actually work with companies on a macro level and actually help all these bigger companies that have bigger budgets, you know? And so understanding things like accounting, finance, like economics and everything, that's all essential. People don't realize it. And so the things that I'm doing is not set up for me to, maybe it's not set up for me to make the most money now, you know, but it's set up for me to make the most money in 10 years. Because I'm sure this information, like, even though it's theory and it's not super practical, it'll be useful down the line because I have a broader perspective and I can say that I have a degree, you know, and it's just completing one chapter of my life. And obviously making my parents proud because they are Asian. So,
But I know that you said that you were actually going to drop out. You took your letter into your course manager, and he said that you'd be gone in 2 weeks if you actually did. Oh, bro, crack me up there. I guess, bro, that's the thing with uni, right, is that, like, uni without a goal, like, let's say, for example, right, you're well connected and you know you're going to get a finance job, and if that's what you want and that's your goal and that's why you're going to university for it, then fair enough. But it's the, like, and I do also think, like, you know, would you have moved to London if it wasn't for uni?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I say it all the time, university is great to actually grow as a person because you're 18, you know, fresh out of high school or fresh out of secondary, and you don't know what you want. University is a good way to kind of get out of your house, get out of your hometown, explore the world, you know, grow as a person. I generally think the last 2 years of my life has panned out this way because I moved out of my hometown. I'd argue that if I was still in Malaysia, I wouldn't be making this much. I'd be complacent. I'd be at home. I'd have a roof over my head. I wouldn't have to worry about rent. I'd have someone cooking for me. Like, all this type of stuff makes me comfortable. And I could just be sitting at home playing games all day, you know? And I realized that, like, my mom was right, you know, going to university, even if it wasn't for the degree, helps you grow as a person. Yeah. And I think people overlook that so much. And the whole idea of not going to university that is portrayed in the info space, I want people to take that with a grain of salt. I really do. Because not everyone's cut out for this type of life. Like, genuinely, I mean, it's stressful, man. It's stressful having to wake up, having to, you know, pay a lot of people, having people depend on you, rely on you. And if business doesn't go well, you know, you don't know what to do and stuff. Not a lot of people can deal with this type of stress. And so if you're telling people, if you're using your platform to tell people to not go to university, you know, and if their entrepreneurship career doesn't work out, that's on you, man. Just because you want to sell a course and you want to sell the dream.
I mean, bro, we both dropped out with, like, not really any valid reason. Or like it was just kind of like, I guess we should not be at uni then. So we both dropped out, but, like, you know, we've made it work, you know what I mean? But not everyone will. And I also think that, do you know, with stuff like that, right? If someone is saying something online, like a concrete opinion of something with absolutely zero nuance whatsoever or like rationale of the other side, you should take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
I was just about to say because everyone online has an agenda. I genuinely like want the best for people that are watching because I don't sell to a mass market. I can tell you right now, like university is a great option. Maybe it's not worth the price tag, but it is worth at least exploring your first 1 to 2 years to get out of your hometown and actually grow as a person to figure out what you want. I generally think, I mean, your first year of university, you guys grew a ton, right? And people that say that university is a scam and everything, I understand, but look one level deeper. Why are they saying that? Do they want you to spend the money that you would spend on the tuition fees for their course, or what is it? You know, and so I think learning how to actually filter information and understand why someone is saying something is the most important skill you can learn, especially in our day and age with social media.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the one thing I will say about us two going to university, although we may have not gained a lot out of it from the actual university itself, I think the things that it made us realize within that time frame, I'd say was super valuable.
Bro, it was a split test.
Yeah.
It was literally a split test. It was like, right, like we had to go to know that it wasn't what we wanted to do. Because like I wasn't really fully set on it, but I felt like I had to do it. And it also like, my parents are, obviously they're not Chinese. I don't think but like I'm the only person on my mum's side of the family who won't have a degree. And I almost had to, like, I took a gap year. So I had the option to go back and bank my results. And I was kind of like to mum, I was like, give me a year. If I fuck it up, I'll go back. If not, I'm not going back. So it's like, you do also have that flexibility. And I also feel like, you know, so many people do just go to uni because it's the default thing to do. Like, especially in the UK.
It's pushed a lot.
Yeah, well, it's like, do you know so I'm not sure how they do it in Malaysia, right? But you have secondary school, which is up until you're 16, and then you'll either go to college or do your A levels, 16 to 18. And at the schools that we went to, the kind of the next step planning, they just sat you in a classroom with a bunch of computers and told you to go onto the, what's it called? The UCAS website and be like, find the topic you like. Do you want to go to uni in a city or do you want to go in the countryside? And then just apply. It was almost like that's just like the default thing to do. And I don't necessarily think it's a problem with uni. It's a problem with agency, right? It's like, do you know what you want to do? And like, you are at uni and you are living proof to anyone who says, don't go to uni, that you can do both. Like we had Temi and Yomi Lowry on. Yomi's at uni. Like Yomi still lives, I know he doesn't live there anymore, but he lives in a dorm and he was doing like closing and he said that all his friends couldn't even afford to pay their bills or whatever. And he was like, it was comfy. So you can make it work. Being so transparent on social media like you are, how do you deal with like because Joe, the emotional fluctuation of like 150K month to 60 the next month, am I correct? That's an emotional fluctuation for just you, right? Not even factoring in the team or the fact that you are publicly sharing it on social media as well. How do you deal with that emotional fluctuation? Or were you kind of like, right, we know it's an operations thing and we can just fix it?
Yeah, I mean, I have full confidence and I'm so aware of what I need to fix in order to go past this problem or whatever. But, you know, if I only show the big months, no one's really going to trust me. Like, no one is, you know, like, you're sharing the sunshine and rainbows and you're selling actually a dream if you think about it. Because people think that, oh, every month in business for you is amazing. Every month in business for you is 6-figure months. If I'm showing that, they're going to have a completely wrong expectation when they join me. And when my clients deal with setbacks and everything, they know that it's normal and that it's okay and everything. And so part of it is also for my clients. Like, what I do right now is I think that the content and the personal brand that I've developed, I'm setting up my brand to where if someone joins my offer, they know that, okay, if they don't hit a record month in the first month, that's completely fine. Because I don't set that expectation. I don't have that, like, I'm not perfect with my business. I don't know it all, you know? And so I'm still learning along the way. I'm still, you know, developing my skills and everything. And it's like, you don't have to know it all if you wanna make money. I don't know it all. And I just think that doing that allows me to get the right clients and also just not sell the dream, honestly. Because it's very easy to sell the dream just to want to get a few sales. I generally think if I only said that I make 150K a month, a lot more people would buy from me. But I don't want you to buy from me with that expectation in mind, because you're going to be like, it's just scammy, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I want to sell with who I am, authenticity, and just being genuine. And if you like it, then cool. If you don't, then you can go find someone else that only shares you know, big numbers and everything.
I mean, you seem like you've got a pretty good kind of moral compass about you in
Yeah.
terms of working things this way. How important do you find then trust between you and your audience? Like, what does that kind of mean to you?
It's huge. I think for a long time, I only posted the wins. The moment I stopped doing that and I showed the losses and everything and the bad months and everything, you know, people like thanked me for it. You know, they were like, thank you for sharing this side, because I don't know any other person that does share this side. And I think it's not even for the sales, you know, like I'm doing it because I don't want to sell you that I have everything figured out. Because if you think that, then your expectation of yourself is going to be like, oh, I need to have everything figured out like SooWei. But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not the case. And it's just developed a huge amount of trust. I mean, every time I post a CTA, we get a ridiculous amount of people coming in. I posted a CTA the other day. We got 500 inbounds.
Bro, didn't you put a really weird word for it?
Yeah.
What was it like? Was it Lady Gaga?
Yeah, it was like-
yeah, bro, I knew it was something really weird.
There was like my clients were making, because on Discord there's this feature where you can see what music people are listening to.
Right.
I was at the gym listening to Lady Gaga and they called me out for it. I was like, what the fuck? But I was like, you know, if you want to close more deals and everything, you have to listen to this shit. I was just joking around.
Katy Perry. We always put on a bit of Frank Sinatra, like old stuff. Talk product to me, right?
Yeah.
Because do you know the sales call that you posted
Yeah.
in the amusement park and someone called you out for it? The props that he did give you in the video was he was like, at least he's got conviction in what he's selling.
Yeah.
What was the process like of building the actual product? Because I've heard people say that I've built like modules for people's coaching programs and stuff, just like as help. And bro, I fucking hated it. So talk like, what was the process of like, because not only are you building a product, right? Not only are you sharing your knowledge, but you need to make it actionable and digestible if someone is kind of like not as aware as you. So what was the process of building the product like?
So I sold 5 early bird spots for 7.5K. So that was 2K cheaper. And I told them, I set this record straight. I was like, hey, you're buying an unfinished product, but what you will get is weekly one-on-one calls with me. And I asked them everything they need help with. And I built the program based on their feedback. And so a lot of people say you build the product first and then you sell. I think it's flipped. I think you sell first and then you build the product, because you don't know what someone actually wants until you ask them and until you work with them.
Yeah.
You think you know what they want, but you're at a different level because you've already achieved this outcome. You know, maybe you think it's a content problem, but people only struggle with sales. Then you built all these content modules that are useless. They're just fluff. And that's how bad programs are made. And so I sold my first 5 guys on a 7.5K flat fee. And I was like, okay, you're going to get $2,000 off. You're going to get weekly one-on-one calls with me up until launch. And you're going to be able to dictate how I built this program. Boom. And so no-brainer offer. Everyone that I offered this product to said yes, because they were previous clients as well. We built it out according to what they wanted. And I made sure that I knew exactly what they wanted. They didn't want to watch videos. So I made it extremely short and actionable. They didn't want to do a shit ton of work. So I SOP'd out a lot of stuff, and we built a lot of done-for-you systems for them. They didn't want to have to write out a whole VSL. And so we created a cloud bot and we fed it the best performing VSLs and everything for our clients. All these little things, they add up, and now our clients just love it. And so in a year's time, like generally we're going to dominate the space, not because of the sales and the marketing, but because of the product itself. We're going to have so much conviction, and we're going to have so much feedback on what we can improve, that in a year's time, because we care so much about the offer, we're just going to blow everyone out the water. A lot of people don't realize this. We get 25% of our acquisition through strictly referrals.
Wow, okay.
And the referrals is what allows us to focus more on the product, because we're not so focused on getting more people in, spending more on ads, hiring out different sales teams and all that. Like, we don't give a shit about that. If I can make the product extremely good, get a huge client success rate, get crazy results, and then get referrals on the back end, that makes my business way more lean, because I don't have to spend to get clients. All I do is just pay the referral fee. And it's just actually just fulfilling, because your clients actually get the result that they want,
I imagine that referrals probably better people to work with as well,
'cause-
like compared to cold traffic.
Course,
you know what I
course.
mean?
And it's like, it's so much easier, and it's like, that's how you build a business the right way, especially with how important your reputation is in the info space, like you said,
The guarantee as well. Like, I loved when you were saying to the the girl on the phone on that call, you were like, look, we can do it in 4.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I don't know if I can make the next payment. And you were basically just like, if you can't make the next payment, then I'm not doing my job properly.
Yeah.
And like, in order to have a great, so I'm done for you. But like, I get most of my clients through referrals because I work well with my clients and they give me referrals, and I have a guarantee and I can say the guarantee on the phone, and people are like, well, how are you actually able to guarantee that? And it's just like, look at this, this, and this.
Exactly.
How much like leverage do you have in having a good product, even from a guarantee standpoint and a trust standpoint?
It's just conviction, you know, like it's just conviction and being able to sell on the call. I mean, the way that I present myself in the content, I'm so confident in what I do and people can see it because I generally have a good offer. When I'm talking to my guys and we're actually pitching these guys on calls and everything, my closer knows that we have an amazing offer because he's also the CSM. And so the reason why I actually got a closer CSM at the same position is because he won't close someone that he know he can't help.
Yeah.
You know, if it's just a closer, he's going to be incentivized to close the sale because he doesn't give a shit about whether or not the client gets the result. But if he's a closer and the CSM, suddenly he's like, okay, can I actually help this guy? And no matter how good your morals are, it's very hard to say no to money. I think we can all agree to that. When someone has 10K, they're willing to pay you. It's very hard to say no to it, even though you think you can help them or you don't know if you can help them. But if a CSM role is tied to the closing role, you're kind of forced to make the right decision and do what's best for the business. So
I think I see a lot more people kind of pivoting towards that way. Like I work in sales as well, and I feel like it's quite a good combination to work with because you can have somebody that truly cares about your product rather than just straight cash collected.
Exactly.
It was funny in Callum Carver's thing, his 2 closers were at the event that he did in Manchester, and like obviously they've closed everyone in the room, but they were kind of like laughing about it, and it's like that culture that they've built where like even the students are laughing with the closers and they're like, bro, like thank you for closing me. You know what I mean? Like they actually appreciate it. I do think that closer CSM or like closer at least in the community helping people, like his closer will help people with like sales and stuff because they know that like they weren't closed to take money, they were closed because that was actually what they needed.
Exactly.
I think, you know, one kind of example is actually the guy I spoke to last night. So
I
jumped on a call last night, closed this guy, and it was something that I spoke to maybe like a month back, whatever, further nurture, came over the line super quickly, but it wasn't kind of like a pressurized call. It was somebody that we saw the potential in. He was super hype. It was a good call, a good kind of exchange of energy. Obviously past that point as well, getting him on board, we'll then talk to him because the way that we kind of work with one of the things that I work on is the same. You know, I'm not just trying to cash collect to them. I'll speak to them past that point. We'll continue, make sure that they're happy, etc. And just having that there, I don't know, enables them to feel super high. They feel like they're not just getting sold to, you know, that they're actually kind of buying into a culture rather than just like, oh, I've got a course, I've got this or whatnot.
Exactly, and that's what it is, man. I've like on the calls that my closer does, like these guys are happy to be closed. They're happy to be pitched and everything because they're just like, SooWei's already made me money, you know. And it's like if you have that client, that type of client with that type of attitude coming in, it's gonna be fun to work with them, you know.
We asked someone else this earlier, we actually messaged this earlier. Where do you see the info space going in like the next few years?
Yeah.
Because do you know with AI, anyone who's selling pure info, like course, no calls, no like kind of customer success, like onboarded modules, like AI is good with the right prompts. People are going to be able to get that information out of it. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same, but where do you see the space going in the next few years with everyone kind of like adding AI in and obviously the space getting, you know, it sounds like such a typical thing to say, but more and more saturated.
Yeah. Well, I think the people that generally have good products will last. And the guys that don't have the right reputations and don't sell the right products and everything, they sell the dream, those guys will eventually fade. And I say this all the time, info is a reputation game, you know. Like if I hopped on a call and I was planning to buy someone's product and I just heard one thing bad about them, even though I watched hours of their content, I wouldn't buy. Straight away, like you'd be just turned off straight 100%. Away, right? That's how important word of mouth is. And so eventually if you burn enough people are just gonna ban against you, man. Like people are gonna have an agenda against you. And I think that, you know, that's just the biggest thing ever, the reputation in the space. And that's why I'm so careful of who I pick and choose and who I work with. Because if I work with someone and they pay me and I don't get them the result, that's on me. Even though like realistically it's like maybe they didn't do all the work, I still feel at fault because I sold you something and you didn't get the result that I promised you. And so I think that the people that do care about their reputation will shine, and do care about the fulfillment and the product will end up being the long-lasting businesses, and the guys that don't, they'll have to pivot into a different model.
Talk to me a little bit more about the PE and SaaS stuff, because you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, I think honestly, like info is a great industry to start out in, I think, but I think it's one of those things where it's like a stepping stone for me. For me, I want to make a lot more money. I want to help a lot more lives, and I don't want to deal with individuals. I want to deal with companies on a macro level. So for me to get that type of impact, I just want to work with bigger companies that have bigger budgets, and everything. And so, I think private equity and everything, it's a very transferable skill set, actually. Like what we learn in info, all the copy, the marketing, the sales, everything is transferable to a industry like private equity or even like SaaS. If you think about it, the acquisition for SaaS is very, very similar to info.
Bro, so obviously I'm doing the webinar stuff, right? There was a few weeks ago where I was getting so many ads for SaaS companies doing webinars, and I sat on one of them. Bro, so I use Jason Fladley in Structure. He's the guy. Do you know when Iman did that WAP event and he got that guy pitching? He's like webinar guy. And I use his framework, and I was watching this software webinar, and he was selling a yearly access to the software with the bonuses and everything like that on the call, exactly the same as you would info. Exactly. And it's almost like, so do you know what? So dumb for you, right? People who start agencies or whatever realize that dumb for you is a little bit harder to scale. Go into the info stuff because info is more scalable, right? SaaS is obviously even more scalable than info because it's just like product. And I kind of have a little bit of a hypothesis that with AI, so many more kind of info guys are going to have info and SaaS, because SaaS companies will become so much easier if you have a demand for the product to build with AI, with the code and stuff. And it's interesting. There's a guy on Twitter as well. He's called Alex something. And his offer's all about enterprise clients. And it's basically where he'll help people who are doing like cold email, for example, do cold email for M&A companies. And it's like the exact same skill set, the exact same, like literally everything, writing cold email scripts, connecting a company with another company, but they'll connect like someone who's raising finance with investors. Exact same skill set, gets paid 5 times more up front and gets a percentage. Let's say a company's raising like 30 million, he'll get a drink on whatever he raises for them. It's the exact same skill set. So you are right, dude.
Yeah. Like the skill set that we learn in info, like, it's just transferable to everything, man. And so that's why it's like we're in the right space, we're in the right vehicle, honestly.
I think one thing that's interesting in this, with like kind of the SaaS as well, there's been an emergence of young people building out a lot more kind of very simple and new software, but following a structure that would be like info. One thing, that we were speaking about the other day was like Cal AI.
Yeah, have you seen it? You take the photo, bro, it's fucking bullshit. It's
the biggest scam ever. Like we were fucking about of it just trying to do it. But the guy's doing, I don't doubt he's probably doing it.
You got to respect it, man. You got to respect it.
And he's just reaching out to, I mean, every single fitness influencer possible has essentially been reached out to him. But it's interesting, again, because I feel like there's an emergence of a lot more kind of similar apps in that kind of scene of things.
I want to talk about the people who actually come on and work with you, right? Do you find that the people who come and work with you have a similar ethos to you because they've seen your content? Like, are they coming on, they want to build good products, they want to help people, they want to be transparent?
100%. And I think that's the biggest shift in my content that I love the most. Like, that's the biggest benefit ever. It's like, I'm not attracting a bunch of douchebags that just sell a trash course, I'm attracting people that have the same morals as me, that care about their family, that don't really like the flashy stuff, and that actually want to actually serve people, you know. And I think that's what makes my line of work so fulfilling. Like I generally could go on a holiday or spend really, really good quality time with every single one of my clients because I really mesh with them as a person. I really like who they are and what they stand for and everything because it aligns with who I am. And I think personal brand, if you haven't realized it already, you can choose who you want to work with just by what you post. If you're posting all the, cars and the lifestyle, you're just gonna attract people that want that. They're seeking validation from the wrong things. But if you talk about having a good offer, taking care of your family, giving to the poor and all that stuff, you attract people that just want to do that as well. And so your personal brand just dictates who you attract. And I think people need to be more aware of that, you know.
Go
I
on.
mean, I'm kind of curious in terms of what your inbound then potentially looks like, because obviously, you know, what you spoke about before is you're quite particular with who you actually bring on yourself.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to show you, bro.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah,
go
bro,
ahead,
run it.
bro. I mean, what I was gonna say is like,
Uh-huh.
obviously the kind of the specific niche that you're targeting to a degree
Yeah.
might be people at some point who are a little bit just before their position.
Yeah.
So what does that kind of look like in terms of your inbound and such? And yeah, bro, you feel free
Yeah.
to whip it up.
I have this app which makes me wait for it. Just give me a sec. But
Do you also find as well that, like, obviously because you get, it's primarily coaches,
Yeah.
isn't it? Do you find that they have, and you don't have to dox anyone, but do you find that they have bought other things?
of course,
No.
I'm usually the third, fourth, fifth person they buy.
Yeah, it is interesting that, because like, Joe, bro, everyone's targeting agency owners,
Yeah.
coaches, consultants, and like people like, bro, I've bought multiple things. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not sure about you, but I'm sure you've bought things in the past
Yeah,
of
yeah,
different
yeah.
people. And like, it's not really until like the third or fourth one where
That
it
it
really
ever-
clicks for
yeah.
you. And do you think that's like a product thing, or do you think it's more of a mindset shift thing from the person? It's like, right, this time
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna fucking dial this in.
I think it's a mix of both. I think again, if you're a beginner, your chances of succeeding is just way lower because you're dealing with not just the product issue, but your limiting beliefs. You know, like that's the biggest thing I think holds people back. And then past that, once you're kind of like, you know, spending a few $1,000s and everything, then that's when you want to like actually make it work. So I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
Honestly, and they'll learn from the past mistakes that they made as well. But I want to show you my inbound. It's honestly ridiculous. We get messages every single day, but we just don't sell to everybody.
Yeah.
Like we just don't sell to everyone.
Bro, I'm
I mean,
surprised I got through trying to get you to come on.
like all of this stuff is just from today, and we can show the camera in a bit. But like, people
How
are
many
just
people did you get reaching out to you, pitching you?
pitching me? Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
But
Not surprised.
Have you ever hired someone from
Yeah.
like a really good pitch
no,
to work with you, or has it
No.
always been like applications?
it's always been applications.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to have like a personal brand where if I put out a link, people just click on it and they apply, and word of mouth goes around and everything. So it's always just been through applications and everything. And it's like, in my eyes, if someone's pitching something, they just don't have enough clients or they're not good enough at what they do. So I
Yeah.
don't even bother looking at it, no matter how
Really?
good your pitch is. Yeah. In my opinion, it's like, I mean, realistically, the best service providers, they struggle with a fulfillment issue. They don't struggle with a lead flow issue. They
Yeah.
don't struggle with a sales issue. I mean, think about it, you know?
Yeah. It's
If
like
you,
Zach.
Bro, it's fucking, yeah, he's like Zach, our housemate. Like, he has a reselling offer.
yeah.
And bro, like, the guy's a marketing whiz. Like, he got mentored by ex, like, head of ads at Facebook in
Yeah.
Manchester. And, like, he can just turn on the tap,
Yeah.
get leads, but he is, like, so insanely conscious of the back end. Like, he actually reminds me of you quite a bit.
Yeah.
Where, like, every day he's coming home after a 12-hour day and he's just like, yeah, just had to get this supplier, had to hire this person for the
Yeah.
customer success and everything. And yeah, you are right. Fulfillment is the bottleneck.
Yeah. So that's just how I look at it, you know? Like if you're really good at what you do, you'd never struggle with client acquisition. And I think I say that a lot of my content. So if you have a client acquisition problem, look at your fulfillment. Is it good enough? Do you get
Yeah.
enough referrals and everything? It's probably a fulfillment issue, you know? So yeah.
At the kind of root of it all, then I'm curious, what is your main driver? You know, obviously we spoke about kind of your family, and
Yeah.
you've touched up on a lot of different things. But if you could kind of pinpoint it to, I don't know, maybe a paragraph. You know, what is your actual driver for all
Yeah.
of this? You know, what is it that makes you want to keep going? That makes you want to down the line, you know, move into maybe the SaaS space and
Yeah.
and continue growing and scaling.
I think the biggest thing is just fulfilling my potential. Doing what I'm capable of doing and everything, and understanding that my parents sacrificed so much to put me in this position, and I'm going to take full advantage of it, you know? Like, they've blessed me with the position that I'm in. I've been dealt like really good deck of cards to, like, in life and everything. You know, I grew up in a really good family, went to private school, got great education, and I just want to kind of give back to them by achieving the most amount of success that I can ever achieve. And I think another driving factor that I don't really talk about is like my future kids. I want my future kids to look back at the videos that I'm posting now and be like, okay, this is what my dad was doing at 20. And I think that's fucking badass.
They'll watch
you know?
this.
Like maybe they'll watch this podcast or whatever. you
But
know?
we had Lion Glass,
Yeah.
sales guy, and we were meant to do a podcast with him on Friday the 13th of December. And he had a new baby born on that day, due date. So we did it the following Thursday, and he actually brought the baby on the podcast, like holding her by the microphone. It was so cool to just think she will watch that.
Yeah.
She will watch that. And I think that's something that all of us like almost take for granted a little bit. Like all the vlogs that you do, all the YouTube videos that you have, like they're timeless. They're going to be there forever.
Literally.
And your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, your kids, everyone will be able to watch that back and see the journey. It's not just like potential clients right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the cool thing. Like people look at content as this vehicle to generate sales. I'm looking at content as like, dude, it's documenting your life.
Yeah.
It's documenting like what you're being able to achieve and everything. And it's like, yeah, sales are cool, but what's cooler is if you're 40 and you look back, or let's say you're 70, you look back at what you did when you're 20 and you watch a vlog of you scaling up your business with your boys. That's fucking sick. You know what I mean?
I wanna end it on this one, right?
Yeah.
SooWei in a year.
Yeah.
What would he tell SooWei now?
In a year. That's a good question. So future, what would future me
You
tell
in a
me
year,
now?
what would he tell you now?
I think honestly, just keep on working on the inputs. Every single day, be relentless. Don't keep your foot on the gas. You know, it's very easy to get big-headed now because you've achieved a lot of success compared to everyone around you. But still remain humble. Remember where you came from. Remember who who put you in this position and everything, and give back to those in need. And don't recklessly spend money just because you have money. God rewards people that spend money, and God rewards people that helps other people. And if you use your money in the right way, then God will give you more success in everything in life. And so instead of, splurging and, getting into temptations and falling for these little things, just keep your head grounded and everything, and keep working, keep impacting lives, and remember what got you here.
SooWei, where can people find you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can find me on just my name, SooWei Goh, on everything, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
Perfect,
Bro, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. Thank you.
Thank you
Great
guys
to
for having
speak
me.
to you, bro.
Oh yeah.
Subscribe. Progress with us.
Oh shit.
This
no boy.
is SooWei's appointment center.
Man behind it.
What would George in a year tell George now?
You put him on the spot.
Damn, we'll be at a million a month in a year. That's what we'll be at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll be at in a year. I'll just be like, congrats for now.